Hello, Wobbly Phil here. Back in the 1970s, we were all green with envy when yet another of our 16-year-old mates rode into the schoolyard on a shiny new Yamaha FS1E. It was only a moped and even had pedals to comply with UK law at the time. But Yamaha had done everything they could to make it look, to us at least, like a superbike. Were we fooled? Not really.
Wanker.
Then again, fast forward 50 years and you've got to ask yourself just what does make people want to shell out £8,500, almost $11,000 for one of these. It can't just be nostalgia, can it? Welcome to the world of the $11,000 50-year-old moped. With 49 cc's in a single-cylinder two-stroke engine and 5-whole horsepower at your command, this thing will whisk you up to maybe 45 miles an hour in a year or two. These days, I'm passed by faster bicycles as I nervously adhere to the 20-mile-an-hour speed limit in London, where not long ago I was fined for travelling at the batshit crazy speed of 24 miles per hour in my car. I know, what was I thinking? My entire molecular structure could have disintegrated at that kind of speed. Back then, though, 45 miles an hour was respectable. Your average 1970s pedal bike with its 3-speed Sturmey Archer gears would struggle to get you anywhere near that speed, let alone transport you up the hill from school past the Sink Estate fast enough to avoid the attentions of the local ruffians. We all wondered where our chums had found the huge sum of £250, around £3,000 in today's money, to pay for these machines. Some, it transpired, had worked all summer at the local amusement parks in our shabby seaside town and saved up. Others, whose parents owned the amusement parks in our shabby seaside town, had received them as generous 16th birthday presents. FS1Es weren't the only schoolboy pocket rockets on the market. There were offerings from all the major manufacturers, but none quite had the style, panache and desirability of Yamaha's bike. It was the one we all wanted. So what did you get for your or your parents' money, apart from bragging rights? Introduced here in the UK in 1972, Yamaha really hit its target market dead centre. The E in FS1E stood for England, which is what we rather arrogantly used to call the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland back in the day. Limited by law between the ages of 16 and 17 to a machine with less than 50 cc's and obligatory pedals to maintain the pretense it was nothing more than a motorised bicycle, the Fizzy did its utmost to disguise itself as a proper motorcycle. Its rotary-valved engine was, of course, minute, but there it was, proudly raked forward like a big boy's bike, with what looked like a proper petrol tank mounted above it. The cleverest thing about it was a unique design that allowed the left-hand pedal to be rotated and locked so that the pedals could be used like foot pegs. That was real bike style, although sometimes this mechanism seized, I recall. You could get almost 100 miles per gallon from its 1.5 gallon tank, but you did have to fork out for two-stroke oil too, which the Yam used in a 20-to-1 ratio. This was added to the petrol tank, invariably followed by a brisk shaking of the bike, although later models adopted the two-stroke oil injection system and even had a front disc brake to complement their competition yellow. A 4-speed gearbox enabled you to thrash the nuts off the zingy little engine for maximum speeding pleasure. Initially available in any colour as long as it was candy gold, which is the colour scheme I remember seeing most often, by 1974 it also came in popsicle purple. Lights and indicators, which ran off a 6-volt system, topped off the package. What felt like national hysteria killed off the Fizzy in 1977, when a moral panic over motorcycling casualties in the UK brought in new laws restricting all these moped pseudo-motorcycles to a top speed of just 30 miles an hour, although there were sneaky ways of getting around that apparently. Personally, I never knew anyone who did themselves a serious nasty on an FS1E. Despite the starry-eyed nostalgia, the FS1E was a pretty basic motorised bicycle. Why then do they command such, in my opinion, inflated prices? They don't seem especially rare. There were 10 on sale when I did a spot check on eBay, with prices ranging from 7 to 8.5 grand. When I last checked, 2 or 3 years ago, 5,000 seemed like a more typical price. I accept that it's probably against the odds for such a small, comparatively fragile machine to have survived in good condition for half a century, but the supply of close rival, the Suzuki AP50, seems to be about the same, and a quick check showed they were consistently going for several thousand less, apart from this rather outlandish outlier, which must have gold ingots stuffed in its toolkit. The same was true when I checked eBay for Honda's 4-stroke SS50. Of course, you can still pick up a barn find for restoration for a lot less, if that's your thing. So, is it just nostalgia fueling these prices? My guess is that it is. The scrawny teenager whose dad owned an amusement arcade in the 1970s is now the podgy 60-something with a string of casinos, or maybe at least a chain of second-hand car dealerships, and has the wad to relive his boyhood dreams. At 2 grand per horsepower, let's just hope the struggle to propel his 200 pounds up more than a slight incline represents, for him, the best bangs for his buck. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, then please consider liking, subscribing, commenting and sharing to let YouTube know we're doing something right here at 3 Phils. Thank you.